This is a reading from Modern Saints by Anne Ball. 7. Saint Benildus. Saint Benildus, F.S.C. Pierre Romançon, 1805 to 1862, France. Died at age 57. If you have ever been called a shrimp or a pipsqueak, then you have something in common with little Pierre Romançon. The insults received because of his small physical stature did not stop when he was a child, but continued well into his adult life. When Pierre's father went to register his son's birth, several family friends went along to testify because Mr. Romançon could not even write his own name. Both of Pierre's parents were illiterate, but they wanted their son to have some education. They made provision for him to leave some of his work on the family farm in order to attend school. Although both his parents were uneducated, hard-working country folk, they were very religious. Though too busy to attend daily mass, Pierre's mother slipped into the church for a brief visit to the Blessed Sacrament each morning after completing her early chores. Later in life, the saint said his earliest memories were of these visits, as he accompanied his mother from about the age of 4. He credited these visits with contributing greatly to his vocation. When Pierre was 13, his teacher appointed him to help teach a group of unruly 7-year-olds, which the old teacher himself could not handle. The degree of success he had with the class amazed all, especially the teacher who had appointed him. Pierre had discovered what was to be part of his life's work, teaching. Walking through the village one day with his mother, Pierre noticed a pair of strangely garbed men. Each held a rosary in his hand and wore a tri-cornered hat. At this time, France was just struggling back from the bloody anti-clerical French Revolution, and many religious orders had still not resumed their habits. Pierre, who had probably never seen many, if any, garbed religious, asked his mother who these strange men were. She replied, "Those are the brothers, men who teach school for the love of God." Pierre later decided that he too would like to be a teaching brother. This posed quite a problem in his family. His mother felt he should at least be allowed to try this vocation, but his father wanted Pierre to become a lay teacher so that he could always stay close to him, or close to home. Besides, argued his father, at his young age he was not ready to make an important decision about his future. His parents compromised by allowing him to board with relatives and attend the brothers' school in Riom. His stay only strengthened his resolve to become a brother. Yet another obstacle had to be overcome. When Pierre first applied to the novitiate, he was turned down on the grounds that he would be much too small to handle the disciplinary aspect of teaching. But this obstacle gave way after he was allowed to teach the younger children for a few days. His manner with them was so good that the superiors decided to allow him to try at least his vocation. His father consented, while secretly hoping that Pierre would find the life much too hard. In 1820, Pierre received the habit of the Brothers of the Christian Schools and a new name, Brother Benildus. His father made one more try to change his mind. He paid a visit to the young novice and said, "Pierre, I want you to come home with me." After recovering from the shock of realizing that his father was still against his vocation, Brother Benildus answered, "If I had to live here on nothing but potato skins, I would not leave this house." His eyes blurred with tears as he watched his father walk sadly down the path. He shut the door and went immediately to the chapel to pour his sadness out to God in the Blessed Sacrament. In 1821, Brother Benildus began his teaching career. In 1839, he was sent to direct one of the brothers' schools. 2 years later, he was appointed director of a new school at Sagues. As a teacher and director, Brother Benildus exacted obedience and sometimes inspired fear. He was known to use the strap, though with much less severity than was common at that time in France. He punished justly and never gave way to whims or partialities. Brother Benildus treated rich and poor alike and left each of his students feeling like the teacher's pet. Under his direction, the school became popular and truancy all but died out. Controlling his temper and being a fair and just teacher did not come easy. The boys in his schools often came to the school rowdy and undisciplined. Brother Benildus once mentioned that he felt it was only with the help of the Blessed Virgin that he was able to keep from murdering some of his most unruly students. I imagine that the angels themselves, if they came down as schoolmasters, would find it hard to control their anger. When Brother Benildus first went to Sagues to set up and direct the new school there were murmurs of anger and disappointment from the parents there. They felt that no man as small as Brother Benildus would be able to control their rough sons, who far preferred playing truant to going to school. At first, the classroom was a battleground. On one side stood large, rowdy country boys. On the other was a very small brother, determined to carry out his mission of love and education. One 10-year-old threw his shoe at Brother Benildus while he was writing on the chalkboard. Rather than lose his temper or administer a well-deserved beating, Brother quietly told the boy to stay after class for a conference with his parents to decide on a proper and just punishment. He was guided in his restraint by the words of the saintly teacher and founder of his order, Saint Jean-Baptiste de la Salle. This saint had counseled his brothers that as teachers they served as substitutes for their students' parents, and should maintain the gentleness of a mother as well as the firmness of a father. No teacher can inspire respect and love if all he does is administer punishment, although many of the teachers in the France of this time were unduly harsh and severe with their pupils. Brother Benildus set up teams for competition and used kind words and other rewards. He recognized the needs of the individual and always treated his students with respect, no matter how poor they were. Not only did he recognize the need for a team spirit, but he also instituted a plan of giving cardboard tokens to individuals as rewards. The tokens could later be exchanged for small prizes. These teaching methods, which Brother Benildus was using in his classrooms in the middle of the 19th century, are the same ones that many psychologists and educators have hailed as new discoveries. The methods of individual attention and immediate positive reinforcement were used so well by Brother Benildus that soon his rugged country boys were coming to school because they wanted to come, not because they were forced to do so. The parents were amazed at the changes in their sons and began to have a greater respect for the value of education. A group of parents came to Brother to ask him to give them lessons at night so that they might at least learn to write their own names. Brother Benildus instituted an adult night school and for over 2 years gave the instructions himself. Although Brother Benildus was a strict disciplinarian, he was also noted for his cheerfulness. He enjoyed recreation with the other brothers and with his students. Once, he taught his students how to make wooden whistles and other primitive musical instruments. Unfortunately, the parents were not impressed when the boys played them at home. So Brother good-naturedly held an auction and bought up all the offending instruments. Brother's love and concern extended to all, not just his regular pupils. Once, an 18-year-old illiterate boy who was almost totally deaf asked Brother how he could learn enough to make his first Holy Communion. Brother Benildus went to the trouble to learn sign language in order to instruct the boy. Another time, the brothers surprised a thief in the act of stealing from their house. Benildus refused to allow them to call the police, and then he talked to the young man. Discovering that he had a family to care for, Brother helped him get immediate aid and figure a better plan for improving his financial situation. In his daily life, Brother Benildus tried to follow the rule of his order to the letter and was a model for his brothers. When he became superior of the house, it was his duty to impose penances for infractions of the rules. A common punishment was to make the Stations of the Cross. It was not unusual for the superior who had assigned this penance to slip in and join the penitent. Brother Benildus was a good teacher and a model religious, but what did he do that was really outstanding or remarkable? Unless you consider the great number of vocations he inspired, you will have to answer that question by saying he did nothing very exciting. There is no record of any miraculous occurrences, special visions, or other favors during Brother Benildus' lifetime, but saints are never canonized simply for glorious deeds which they have performed. Rather, they are recognized for what they have been. Pope Pius XI called Brother Benildus the saint of the daily grind, and reminded us that Brother's sanctity lies in his doing usual things unusually well for the love of God. Brother Benildus died quietly at Sagues on August 13, 1862. His final words reflect the joyful spirit which had completely filled his life in religion. How happy one is to die in our holy state. How did the true sanctity of this quiet saint come to light? A cheap brass crucifix belonging to Brother Benildus was given by the brothers to the carpenter who made his coffin. The carpenter's wife loaned this relic to many who needed divine assistance. A man who was dying refused to receive the sacraments. After being touched with the crucifix, he asked for a priest. Other miraculous occurrences began to be attributed to this relic. Both of the cures documented and accepted as proofs for Brother Benildus' canonization involved persons who had been diagnosed as having incurable cancer. In the collect prayer at Brother Benildus' beatification, the faithful prayed that God would allow them to follow his example of being true to the little things in life in order to attain the great and everlasting rewards of heaven. In October of 1967, Brother Benildus was canonized by Pope Paul VI. Let's look at his picture. And then the caption says, Saint Benildus of the Brothers of the Christian Schools, who once admitted that it was only with the help of the Blessed Virgin that he was able to keep from murdering some of his most unruly pupils. Pope Pius XI called him the saint of the daily grind. Saint Benildus was never photographed. This pencil sketch is the best likeness of him.